Hi and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. Today I actually thought long and hard about doing this video and I was not going to do it. But I've had already in the past week, I've had three of very good friends of mine call me and tell me what happened to them at dealerships. So I just want to share with you something that actually happened to me when I took my vehicle in for a recall and they had to flash the computer. And I just want to tell you, just so you know, today is October 28th. This happened to me in September, and I wasn't even going to do a video on it. I was just going to let it go because I know how a lot of these dealers are. But as I said, I've heard from three other people that really got, in plain English, screwed royally by a dealership and their mechanics. Can you trust these dealerships? My opinion, I don't think there's such a thing as a dependable, honest dealership out there. And I know I'm going to hear a lot of pushback from a lot of my friends on YouTube because I know a lot of guys who work for dealerships and I understand how everything works. You know, money makes the world go round and everybody has to make a living. But on the other hand, you don't want to screw the daylights out of somebody. And I'm going to give you, for instance, let me just start with myself. This I know happened to me. I'm not going to show you what kind of a dealership this was, even though it's on the front here and I have the service manager's phone number who I was going to call and raise holy heck with, but it's just that's the way business is, and there's no sense in losing my cool with this guy on the phone because it's going to get no place. I took my vehicle into a dealership because the dealership needed to reflash the computer. Let me just see something here. Yeah, okay, I'm going to show you this because it doesn't have any of my information on it, but it is a Hyundai. It's a Hyundai Santa Fe, and I took it into the dealership, and long story short, the dealership gave me the runaround. But I bring it in there. I bring the vehicle in. They're supposed to flash it for me while I wait for it because I didn't want to tie the vehicle up. Bring the vehicle in, leave it with them. They couldn't do it right away because of whatever story it was. So I leave the vehicle with them, and they say it'll be done by the early afternoon. Well, 4 o'clock I call them to find out, what's going on. I need this vehicle. And they said to me, well, it's done, but it needs a lot more work. And I'm going to read to you exactly what they said here. I'm going to be very discreet because I don't want you to know what dealership it was because it doesn't matter what dealership it was. They're all the same way. This vehicle, now I'm going to tell you this. Say that perform update recall. I did decline the anti-theft recall on this particular vehicle because I have an aftermarket remote start, and with an aftermarket remote start they tell me that sometimes the aftermarket remote start will not work if they do the upgrade. So I said don't do it. They did change the wiring on the trailer hitch supposedly because there's a problem in the trailer hitch where their vehicle could go on fire, but this is the part that really tickles my feathers. Customer declined an oil change. The oil change was just done on the vehicle. I just did the oil change. Had they gone into the vehicle and pressed the button, they would have saw that there was probably over 4,000 miles remaining on the oil that didn't need to be changed. That's not the worst. They said to me that front and rear brakes are less than 2 millimeters and are screeching. You see the work I do. You know, if I had screeching brakes, I would take care of it myself. You know what 2 millimeters is, right? 2 millimeters is probably about a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to put I took a picture with my phone back then. I'm going to put a picture up on this video so you can actually see how much was left on there. They say there was 2 millimeters and it was screeching. That was probably about 4,000 miles ago. And, it's just not screeching. It's just not. And anyhow, the bottom line is I declined it and decided that they were just taking advantage of me. Don't even get into it. I was not going to call the service manager and discuss it with them because I know what would have happened. It would have just got into an argument. And, they'll never admit that they were wrong. They're going to tell you some other kind of BS story. So the point I'm making is don't trust your dealership. When your dealership calls you and tells you, we looked your vehicle over and it needs immediate attention, it needs to have your brakes, it needs to have a tune-up, it needs to have a transmission service, it needs whatever. Don't believe what they're telling you. Remember, that person on the other end of the phone is only telling you it needs this stuff for one reason. They want to have a nice paycheck at the end of the week. When they leave to go home, they want a big paycheck. And the only way to get that big paycheck is by selling you stuff that's unneeded. Now, that was me. That's firsthand experience. Let me tell you about a story about it. One of my customers who calls me up. Now, I might add that this guy is a very, very intelligent person. Very intelligent. He goes into a dealership because he had a burnt out light bulb in the back of the vehicle. And he figured instead of taking it someplace, he'd take it to the dealer, get the light bulb done. The dealership gets the vehicle in. He's sitting in the waiting area waiting, and he's waiting, and he's waiting. They come back out, and they said to him, Mr. So-and-so, you've got some serious issues with this vehicle. And I might add, this vehicle is probably 2 years old. You have some serious issues with the vehicle. You need to change the hub bearing. You need to change this. You need to change. Bottom line was $6,000 worth of work. They didn't call me, didn't ask my advice. Only found out this afterwards, after the work was already being performed by the dealership. They changed bearings in the front of it. They changed bearings in the back of it. They changed brakes all the way around. They changed calipers on it. And as I said, it's 2 years old. Granted, it had a little bit of mileage on it. It had about 60,000 miles on it, so it's possible that the brakes could have been bad or whatever. $6,000 later, he takes the vehicle. I find out about it. I said, don't go to the dealer. Take it to, he's pretty far away from me. I said, take it to a reputable shop in the area and have the guys take a look at it and just build a good rapport with the mechanics there. Well, now fast forward, now this is probably about a week ago I got this call, and he says to me, he took his vehicle into a dealership because it needed to have two things done. It was leaking fluid from the left front axle. Now, they were leaking fluid from the left front axle because they did a bearing on it probably, and they wound up damaging the seal or whatever. But then I took it into the dealership, and I said to him, you're going to get into a discussion with them. They're going to deny it to the end. Just have them change the axle seal on it for you. And while it's in there, he calls me and he says to me, they just called me, and they gave me an estimate of a bunch of stuff that's needed on it. Now, you know what? He sent me a copy of it, so let me take a look at it. I'm going to read to you exactly what he said. Okay, well, basically what it said is that it needed $6,000. Now, this is 2 months from when they did the work the last time. Last time they did $6,000 worth of work to it. This time they wanted to do an additional $6,000 to it. And I said to him, don't have them do anything. I said, just have them take care of the front axle seal that's leaking, because if the axle seal leaks, you're going to burn out the rear end. You're going to do a bunch of other damage. Have them just change the axle seal. So he left and didn't go back to him. Another guy that I know, this is even better. This is somebody who was driving along in a vehicle, Honda, I might add. So one was a Jeep. That's the person I was just telling you about. He was at 2 different Jeep dealerships, and both different dealerships, the one sold him $6,000 worth of work. The next one, 2 months later, tried to sell him an additional $6,000 worth of work. Now, mine's a Hyundai. This was a Jeep. Now, this is a Honda. The Honda was in a minor fender bender. It actually made a turn, hit a curb, and bent the rim on the left front wheel. They bent the rim. They called me up and they said their normal body shop guy was not in town. He was away on vacation in Florida. They sent me some pictures of it and they said, what do you think? I said, well, it doesn't really look too bad, but I would recommend, I don't know any body shops there, take it into a dealership, have the dealership take a look at it. I said, if it's cheap enough, just pay out of pocket and don't even bother going through your insurance. They get the phone call from the dealership after a week of being there. They get a phone call saying that the vehicle had $8,000 worth of damage. It needed a rim, it needed a hub bearing, it needed a hub, it needed an axle, and a bunch of other stuff, all in the left front, plus the wheel alignment, plus 2 tires. It was over almost $8,000 in work. Unfortunately, it's pretty far away from me. I don't do body work. They went ahead and had it done. The insurance company really got screwed by the dealership. So the point I'm making is when you take your vehicle into a dealership and you think the dealership is trying to be very honest with you and to try to tell you what is really going on with the vehicle, don't believe not one word that the dealer tells you, because they're going to try to mislead you. They're going to try to scare you. They're going to try to tell you if you don't take care of it now, it's going to be worse later on. It's going to cost you more money. You don't want to go out and have an accident with the vehicle. Don't let them scare you. Always get a second opinion, especially if it's a dealership. Now, I might add this too. I hear this all the time from my customers. They bring the vehicle in to get their oil change at a dealership, a lease vehicle, and the lease vehicle, they try to sell them a bunch of maintenance on their lease vehicle. If you're leasing a vehicle, don't do anything to it. Change the oil, rotate your tires, don't do anything else. You don't have to change your cabin filter. You don't have to change your air filter. By the time your cabin filter or your air filter need to be replaced, it's going to be 30 some odd thousand miles, and you're not going to have to worry about paying for it. I've had customers that call me and tell me that every time they go in, they wind up trying to sell them a cabin filter or an air filter or some kind of an engine flush that they're going to do to it. As I said, I was not going to make this video, but at the last minute I decided that I was going to do it. When I initially brought this into the dealership, I don't know if I told you this, the date that I brought it in was on August 24th. I'm sorry. Yeah, August 24th. August, I brought this in, and I wasn't going to make the video until this came to light about these other people who were taken advantage of by a dealer. Now remember, not every dealership is going to rip you off, but in my opinion, and it's strictly my opinion, the majority of the dealerships out there, given the opportunity, will steal the eyes right out of your head. So don't believe anything that these guys are trying to tell you. Guys, girls, it makes no difference. They're all service writers, and their job is to sell. Remember, if they don't produce and get revenue for the dealership and to feed the mechanics in the back, if that service writer can't sell, that service writer's out of there. So he's actually doing it just to keep his job, but the reality of it is he's just taking advantage of you. There's really no reason to actually do that kind of work to most of the vehicles out there. Anybody who's had this problem before, leave a comment down below. I'm curious how many people have been screwed by the dealership, and I'll bet you, and I'm going to bet anybody who wants to look at the comments down there, I'm going to tell you that probably 95% of the people that go to a dealership were taken advantage of, including them trying to take advantage of me. I'll tell you another story. I had a vehicle into a dealership one time that was a Honda. You remember when the Honda airbags were recalled? I had two Hondas I had to bring in to get them recalled. I brought one. No, let me rephrase that. My wife brought two of them in. She brought one vehicle in, brought it in, came back home with it, goes back with the second one. Brings the second one in, she leaves it there, sits down in the waiting room, they call her up, they say, you know, Mrs. Marotti, your car is all done, it's ready to go. She gets in the vehicle, goes to drive away, the airbag light is lit. She calls me on the phone right away, she says, the airbag light is lit. I said, well, it wasn't on before, they just changed the Tacoma airbag, obviously they made a mistake in there. She goes back into the dealer, talks to the service writer. The service writer says, oh, no. That light was on when it came into us before we did the job. Now, you know it, and I know it. If that airbag light was on, they would never have done anything to that vehicle. So I went down to the dealership myself, and I got face-to-face with the service writer. And I said to him, listen, I said, you may bullshit. Sorry about that. You may BS other people. You're not going to BS me. I've been around the block. I've been doing this for 40 plus years. Before this guy was even born, I was working on cars. I said, your man made a mistake in there. He said, well, my guys don't make mistakes. I said, explain to me then, when a car came in and the airbag light was not on, you picked the vehicle up to leave and the airbag light is on, and you failed to even say anything about it until we brought it to your attention. I said, get the vehicle back inside, have your man take a look at it, and see what's going on with it. And what do you think it was? He did put the airbag in. He put it all back together. Nice scratch he left on my dashboard too, which I just let it go. I didn't say anything about it. You know what the problem was? The idiot didn't plug the airbag in. When you plug an airbag in, you're supposed to put the yellow clip in it to hold the thing from separating. He never plugged it in and never put the clip back in place. Now you think that the guy doing the job would have said, that light wasn't on when I drove the car in, and I did the airbag, and now I'm driving it out, and the light is on. I think I might have done something wrong. Nope, didn't care. He just wanted to get that vehicle out as quick as he could and get on to the next one so he can make more money. All right, I hope you leave some comments down here. I'm curious who else has had problems with it. And anybody who leaves a comment down here, I will respond back to you on this. A lot of times I can't get back to you because I get so many emails, but this one I'm going to monitor, and I'm going to see how many emails we get and how many say that they've been ripped off by a dealership, or as they say, the stealership. All right, as always, thanks for watching. If you like this video and you'd like to see more of them, let me know, and maybe we can do some more live streams or something like that. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Now I feel better. I got that off my chest.